Welcome back to the channel. All right, it is time for the first massive update to the BG tier list and rankings. We've had the 4 full weeks of the beta now, and we've learned a ton. We've learned an absolute lot. I'm gonna go off of course, my experience, but also, as usual, I bring in the most intelligent players I know. I've been calling the MCoC Illuminati. Thank you to DLL, Nerd, Hyena, and Slaymon, all for pitching in so much of their time, energy, and effort and lending their experience to this. And then of course, I am constantly checking in, having a good time on my Discord server, looking at particular, I mean, all the channels, but what's relevant for here is the Battlegrounds channel. So many incredibly smart players there. If I name some people, I'm gonna forget others, but you know who you are. Thank you for hanging out in here. So many people in like the top 100 consistently. And I've really been checking in and listening to you all too. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, I love Battlegrounds. I still kind of believe, or I still do believe, that I want as many dual threat options as possible, meaning champions who can be used offensively or defensively. And that gives, I feel like, me a large advantage when it comes to actually drafting the deck and banning champions and getting into kind of the nitty gritty of it all, because it's a lot more than just how you play in the individual fight. And then we are going to look at some champions like that are just pure attackers that are amazing. They're worth bringing in. And then we'll look at some pure defenders and things like that. So let's go ahead and have a lot of fun with this. And then again, this spreadsheet will be linked in the description. Go ahead and check it out. Have a good time with that. And then do me a favor and let them know how much we appreciate what they're doing. Check out DLL, Nerd, and Slaymon's channel. Subscribe. Let them know you appreciate what they're doing for us all here and helping us out with our rank ups and things like that and our strategies for what is honestly, in my opinion, the most fun mode in the game. I cannot wait for it to all go live and see how Kabam handles this. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Mystic champions. All right, we're gonna start off with Ebony Maw, because I do believe he's gonna surprise some people. He's obviously, we all know, or a lot of us know, what he does defensively. He's gonna require a specific way of playing or a specific defender, if not both. But you can use him offensively. He's great, and he's been great for, I think, almost every single meta we have seen. I used him to take out a rank 4 Hercules that I'm sure my opponent thought was going to see them to victory, and took him out. I had a ton of health left and went even faster than my opponent took out. I don't remember what the other fight was. He's great. He's absolutely fantastic. Tigra leans a little bit more offensively, but if you make a mistake against her, you're gonna have some serious problems. Doom is the first time we're gonna see the legend coming in. We're keeping the legend very simple for now, but the crosswords means defensive leaning. Ironically, you know, with Doom, we're so used to him dominating everything, but one of the things that's so amazing about him is he's so tanky, right? And in this mode, not that tanky's bad, it's good, but it's more good defensive. Offensive, we want people to get in quick, do their damage, get out. And I don't remember if it was Na or TJ or Bryce. I mean, like I said, there's a ton of amazing players hanging out in the Battlegrounds channel on my server, and I appreciate the knowledge they share with everybody and the conversations. But one of them pointed out, look, you don't need to go to the SB3 with Doom all the time. Sometimes you can just get the power steal going, drop your SB2, and often it can be enough damage. So we're gonna kind of take a look at that. I know I've been testing that out more and more, particularly this week, and having a good time with that. Mojo, you can use him offensively. He's doing great, and you know what a defensive monster is. Dragon Man, I don't remember exactly which week it was, but it was Nerd who was keying me, and he's like, dude, Dragon Man's been amazing, which I am so happy to see. I think the variety of ways he can do damage, and then of course the power gain that he's got helps him really get into it quickly. And then of course, you know, a troubling defender. Top shelf, they're just not as good, meaning like maybe they're not requiring as much of a counter, or they're not as scary to your opponent, or there's more metas where they have not been as great. That's how you end up here, but you're still obviously good. America Chavez, you can use her offensively. I've done it myself to win matchups. She's not as quick as the other. That's why she's where she's at. But obviously she is a defensive problem. Man Thing has a variety of the armor break. He's got the armor break. It's not just the poison. Keep that in mind. Sasquatch, if you can detonate those ruptures of his, he's going to blow up a lot of opponents. More defensive leaning though, I would say. In fact, I'll probably update this the legend here before this video goes live. But Sasquatch, a little bit more defensive leaning. Still can do well, but he can often take enough time from your opponent's fight, allow you to get through there. Sigil Witch goes both ways, placing this buff. You get you want Mystic Dispersion going. In fact, if anything, I faced a Cersei and I kept getting pushed to my special 3, which just means I got to get a little more experience and learn how to do that a little bit better. That's not her fault, that's mine. long shot. I think we know what he can do. Rintra, I'm curious to see how Rintra is going to play out. If you have experience with Rintra, I mean, anyone, please let me know how this is going for you and what you think where your champions are, because especially in the early stages of these rankings, community feedback is so important, right? But Rintra, I think is going to be valuable. I think it's going to be really, really valuable. I'm excited to see where he ends up, but I like to start off conservative. We're going to start off here in the top shelf. And then Mordo, now thanks to his buff, I believe it was Chuck who let me know first. He's like, I'm actually using Mordo. He's not bad. And the damage is decent. Obviously, we know he can be a problem as a defender. Now let's move on to the pure attackers. Now, I started off in my initial rankings and my initial strategy was like, I'm just bringing all pure two-way. I'm calling them now dual threat champions. But as this has evolved, it's been very clear that there's some champions that are so good offensively that they are very well worth taking in, even though they provide minimal to no defensive utility whatsoever. Obviously, you can see them all now. Yeah, I can't hide everything. So the Hood. The Hood is fantastic. One of the biggest concerns with him is him running out of bullets in a single round matchup like this. You don't need to worry about it. It is not a problem. You don't need the synergy. I think it's with Mole Man to refresh your bullets for you. He is absolutely detonating opponents and ones that you wouldn't even consider. Think about if they have a buff, something like that, like a Nimrod. He's still detonating them, doing tremendous damage, and that's also going across a lot of variety of nodes. So keep that in mind. Diablo, I think, is no surprise to anyone. Clairvoyant in this last week, as I've been testing out a lot of things, my ranking has fallen considerably, but I've been testing, having a good time. And I'm seeing Claire doing a lot of damage as far as winning fights and helping people out and using that utility. I've talked to, again, Nerd, Slaymon, DLL, and they were saying like, look, in the top 100, at least with this current meta, she's a little too slow. But so that's why she's in the top shelf. And I think that's something that you could really probably end up being applied to a lot of the champions in the top shelf. They're either just gonna be a little slower for your top 100, 200 type thing, or maybe they're not as good for as many of the metas. So that's how you're ending up there. And then pure defenders, Mephisto, Mangok, Dormammu, I believe they're just too slow to really be considered above any of the other dual threat champions. But they could be used, but defensively, they are definitely causing problems for people. All right, Science. Oh, my boy Overseer. I have a rank 4 Overseer. I will say that some of the guys on the MCoC Illuminati here with the BG rankings, they told me again, they think in the top like 100, 200, Overseer might be a little bit too slow, if not his ideal matchup. I have a rank 4, and I think that might be balancing it out a little bit. Obviously, your rank in which you have these champions is going to influence your thoughts on them. I've still been enjoying him. I still think he's awesome. And when I need to, I can just pop him on defense and he gets the job done. Spider-Ham, we've seen the variety of ways, or not really the ways he gets damage done, but the variety of nodes he can still get his damage done. Troubling defender. Joe Fixit has been a massive surprise. Like I said, a lot of the really smart players in my Discord server, I know DLL has a rank 3. They've been using Joe Fixit to just destroy stuff. Barrow Man, I faced him once, and he used a Joe Fixit to absolutely destroy me. I just didn't think through his abilities at all. I went into the matchup, and I was like, oh. Within like 10 seconds, I realized I've got no shot. So Joe Fixit should be up there. I will be looking to rank up my own in the very, very, very near future. Now, we're on our first offensive-leaning champions here with the top shelf. Mr. Negative, Wasp, Scorpion. Scorpion, I think, still has some defensive use, but I think a lot of that's because he is new. As people get used to his moveset, I think that will drop considerably. Wasp, she's been in the game for a very long time. I think so many of us are now comfortable fighting her without a true like evade counter option. But the fact of the matter is, like a lot of these defensive leaning champions, they're either going to be really super beefy like our Sasquatches, or they're going to be like Wasp, Hitmonkey, something like that, where people know how to fight them, but we all make mistakes because we're human. And these are champions that can end you in one mistake. And that is definitely her. And Mr. Negative, I like Mr. Negative so much. And I feel like he's someone that for whatever reason, our community is just now starting to continue to discover more and more about him. I could see a future where he gets moved up, but I think so much that's going to depend on the nodes and metas that Kabam continues to put forth our way. And just like if there's a ton of Mystic Defenders or something like that, Mr. Negative could go up. Let's move on down. MODOK. I think that's going to surprise a lot of people. It was actually, again, Nerd. I told you, these guys are smart. It was like, and he has a rank 3 MCoC. He's like, I've been using him. He's been doing really good work for me. You can kind of almost do like a cheese with his heavy spam in the corner. I believe that's an incinerate. So you want to keep that in mind, what kind of damage that is. He's got the fluctuating abilities there, or stats, so you can get some nice crits and things going like that, or some nice damage. And then don't forget that SP1 can be used to handle Nick Fury, who is a really problematic defender for so many of us. So being able to fight those problematic defenders lifts your value considerably, in my opinion, and on a sheet like this. We'll see that again when we get to Mutant and Tech, if you kind of know what I'm talking about there. So let's go ahead and scroll on down. The one science champion that I think really deserves this is Human Torch. We all know what he can do. We're aware of why so many people are banning him. I was tempted to put Red Hulk in there too. Folks have used Red Hulk because I have a very mystic heavy defense. I've intentionally done that. I've been testing that a lot. And Red Hulk was always like a fly in the ointment for me. People would use him, destroy a mystic defender. But I get why a lot of the Illuminati was like, move him down. He's good, but he's not Human Torch. He's not Hood, that sort of level for you. So and then Miguel, as much as I wish Miguel was higher on this list, I have a rank 4. And I got to say, yeah, there's certain nodes and certain defenders, but he's often not making my deck because there's other champions I feel have better versatility. Maybe as I develop more and more of a specific strategy for a node, as opposed to just testing a variety of things, I could see Miguel being someone who I strategically bring along. But if I'm giving rank up advice, and that's what this is, I would not recommend right now that you rank up Miguel, who is Spider-Man 99, by the way. In fact, I'll fix that on the spreadsheet so people know. I would not recommend you rank him up specifically for Battlegrounds. Okay, moving into skill. I'm really enjoying what's happening to the Vega logo there. It looks ridiculous. Kingpin, is there a mode that he's not amazing for? I don't think there is. Nick Fury, no surprise, right? The second life there, causing real problems for people on the defensive end. And then the amount of bleed damage he can do, especially if you're spec'd into deep wounds. Mole Man, again, similar situation here. Jabari, I think Jabari might be surprising people. The thing is she's one of those defenders where if you make a mistake, she's going to absolutely end you. You needing to be mindful of getting her cleanse mechanic on cooldown when you go in for parries. You know, the only champion who can kind of handle that in some ways is maybe Apocalypse, but again, that's not really how that's going to work out so well. She's very good. Learn how to use her. I believe DLL has a rank 3 and has been using his for quite a bit. I've just recently ranked up my Hit Monkey. I get why y'all love him so much. Like, it almost feels like cheating at times, but hey, it is what it is. There's obviously downsides to him. I do think he's a bit more offensive leaning, as brought up by the Illuminati there. They're like, look, if you know how to fight him, he has a very small health pool. So as long as you don't make a mistake, you're going to end up with a quick fight when you're going up against him. Moving into the top shelf. Killmonger is more defensive leaning. We've on this channel done a lot of work over the last like 18, 19, 20 months, letting people know Killmonger can put out more than enough damage. He's an amazing champion. That being said, quickness in getting into that damage, it does take a while. You know, I'm not gonna make something up just to make myself feel better because I like Killmonger. He is a great defender, causing a lot of problems. I still take him along in my deck almost every single time when I'm not just screwing around and testing stuff out, because he causes problems. And if you absolutely have to use him offensively, you can, but I think he's more someone you're wanting to use on the defensive side. Masakre is the exact opposite. DLL just put out a great Masakre guide. If you're interested in Masakre, you're like, what? What is that all about? Put him up there. He can cause problems for people on defense. A unique moveset, really long, big, wide bat swing. And then if they get scared, and this happens, and they accidentally block his SP2, they're going to have some problems. Stealthy, as much as I do not like him, he is deserving of this. He's got that evade counter. Craven and Misty Knight, I'm going to put them almost in the same category here. In that, time's really going to tell. Time's really going to tell as people get them, with Craven in particular, get him awakened and get his SIG level up. I could see him being someone who, in theory, could maybe even move up these rankings. But at least for the time being, they can be defensive trouble because we don't know their movesets as well. I just fought a Craven in War. It went really well, but I was also using CGR with power back boost. So keep that in mind. Learning how to manipulate his traps or get out of his traps or around his traps, it's a big deal. And then Misty Knight on offense, she can just go unblockable and stay unblockable. I watched Infamous use her on stream. This is probably a couple weeks ago. It was really, really impressive stuff. So curious to see where they end up. If you have experience with either of them, please let me know in the comments. Moving on down to the tier above all, pure attackers. Black Panther. Na has a rank 4, I believe, SIG 200 Black Panther. Absolutely outrageous, the things he is doing. If you have a rank 4 SIG 200 and you have anywhere near Na's skill with Black Panther, you want him in your deck. Let's just leave it as simple as that. Falcon, I hate Falcon. Like, I cannot stand playing Falcon in general. Just the playstyle bores the heck out of me. But I hate him because people have used him to win matchups that just annoy me. I think I've got them cornered and then I'm like, oh, shit, they've got a Falcon. So, you know, that's the reality of it. Crossbones, I think there's just not as many people with a Crossbones or know how to use him exceptionally well, but this is very similar to the Falcon issue. And then Black Widow Deadly Origin, the ability to just do that massive shock damage, do it so quickly. I don't think, honestly, I don't think she's as high as those other 3, but I don't think she's as low as the rest. So she's kind of in that level. A lot of the guys in that top 100 were telling me that they think she's too easy to basically make it so your opponent can't use them. Let's put it that way. Again, this is getting some really high level strategy though. Top shelf, Shang-Chi, I have a rank 4. I barely use him. I think some of that's because I'm not that sounded like the tactical sticks from the other day. I'm not creating a strategy specific to bring him in. I have plenty of other skill champions that I'm bringing in instead, but very similar to Miguel, I think if I wanted to accentuate and really create a scenario where I could bring him in for a very tactical use with a rank 4, I think it would make sense. Hawkeye, Black Cat, Elsa, Gwenpool, I think very similar scenarios. They can all do things, just not as good or as widely usable as that tier above all. And then the only pure defender is Korg. It does require often a certain counter, but there's just starting to be so many specific counters out there. I think it's going to depend on the meta and how you want to use your deck. All right, moving into Mutant now. This one really surprised me as I was creating the list because we often think of Mutants as needing their team, their teammates. They're about the synergies. And that makes a lot of sense, right? The X-Men, this whole thing, right? The comics. And yet, here we are. And not to spoil, I don't think it's a massive spoiler. They're going to be the largest amount of champions in the tier above all. Now, it's only by 1, but still, I would have probably expected on first glance or initial thought, for them to have the least. Bishop, I think you all know, I've been talking about Bishop for a long time. Wolverine, Weapon X, so few of us have him still. So I don't think we're too familiar with it, but in my opinion, and if you've got him, please let me know. Trouble on defense, you often want a very specific type of counter, and I think his damage is good enough to get fights done. I'm very curious, so if you have one, please let me know on that. I do not have one, and so I'd really, really like to know how that works out. Havoc, I can't wait to get mine to rank 3. The power gain, different types of damage sources, damage over time. You know, you want someone with an armor up. If you're not, maybe you don't have to have that. But a lot of us other mere mortals in this game are going to want the armor up to be able to handle the Havoc. Domino was, I fought her with a King Groot the other day, and you know, it makes sense after I say it and experience it, but she was crit failing stuff like his Fury coming back. Really, and I was like, all I need to do is stay alive. I knew I had my opponent really in a hard place with the defensive matchup I had placed and the only offensive matchups they had available. So I'm like, I'm just going to bring in a King Groot and stay alive versus Domino. And I did stay alive, but because of all the crit fails, she took off significantly more damage or health than I would have ever expected. Magneto, the fact that he can just shut off or cause so many problems for such a large amount of the game or metal, he's not the quickest, but he gets the job done, and then he has that defensive utility of just really being able to corner your opponent and get them into matchups where like all they have left is a metal champion. There's really nothing they can do. Toad, if you fought me enough times, you know that you place your skill champions who usually make a fight last a while. Your Moleman, your Nick Furies, your Kingpins. I bring in my Toad, and you might still get it done quicker on the other side, but Toad is winning some fights. He's doing a great job, and then he's a problematic defender. I think so few of us really know how to fight him, and he's got kind of an annoying ability of punishing champions who are actually immune to poison. I really like my Toad. Really happy I took him to rank 3, and he's very deserving of that tier above all designation. Moving into the top shelf, Apocalypse. This feels very similar to Doom. I think it was DLL maybe who brought up this analogy. He's like, they're just a little slow. These are amazing champions throughout the game. But that's kind of what's cool about Battlegrounds is in the different metas, like how these other more niche champions rise. And he's just a little bit slow, but he's a great defender, can obviously handle problems with his ability to shut off Shrug and things like that, right? So he's well up there, but top shelf, just top shelf again. I mean, you see the champions in the tier above all from Mutants there. Kitty Pryde, a little more offensive leaning. Again, I believe it was Na who was educating me a bit. I was on a trip to my nephew's wedding, so some of my memory is a little askew, but or a little off. But Kitty Pryde just doing tremendous stuff. One of the things that happened to me is someone I thought I was very smart, and I placed a bishop, and they used Kitty Pryde, and they destroyed my bishop, and I was like, how did they do that? And then, I went to my Discord server, and they kind of explained, oh, the SPO, and I was like, genius, absolutely genius. And then I used it myself for the first time this week, and it was really, really nice. Emma, I'm curious. I have not brought in my own Emma, but I feel very comfortable and confident with her, especially with her ability as a defender. And then she handles evade. She can get her crits going really well with the heavies, and then into that SP2. If you have experience with your Emma, please let me know. Very curious to hear how that's working out. Storm X, of course, defensive ability, the glancing, that kind of stuff. Let's just keep on moving on through. I wish I could put Professor X a little higher, but I right now I don't feel like I can, at least as the metas have been panning out. And then let's get to the peer attackers. Again, another surprisingly long list, considering you usually think of Mutants as needing their team supports and all those things. Archangel, Omega Red, I don't think there's any real discussion on those. Kitty Pryde, she is on here listed twice. There's a couple of champions, I think like the Hood is, and I think Sparky will be that way. I just kind of want to let people know that I do think they can serve those dual purposes. It's kind of a unique thing. As the list evolves, we may get rid of that function. Storm, that new update, wow. The damage can be incredible. And then Sunspot. People are using Sunspot to just destroy champions. Makes a lot of sense. With the block that he's got, and then applying all of those debuffs, and then one SP2, maybe two. Your minds will vary on this, and then just go straight to your SP2. I mean, that's what he does. It makes a lot of sense. It's cool to see people who ranked him up for prestige reasons, and he's a quality champion, have a great place to use him. So I'm excited about that. And then moving on to the top shelf, Namor, Rogue, Captain Britain. There's some very niche uses there, but they can supply them. And if you're filling out your deck, and depending on the meta, they might work. I know I've had some fun with Captain Britain on the Masochism meta. It was a lot of fun, actually. And then Defender, Nightcrawler. If you have Nightcrawler and you're hearing this and you've used Nightcrawler in Battlegrounds, please let me know. There's part of me that actually wonders if he should be up with the rest of the dual threats, with the amount of damage he can do. The thought is that people can handle him on defense. I know I'm still terrified of Nightcrawlers though. So I'm really curious to hear that. If you fought a Nightcrawler, or if you have a high ranked Nightcrawler and you've been using it offensively, please let me know your experience, and maybe let me know kind of around your ranking too. So that'll help me out, because this video is for everyone. This isn't supposed to just be for the top 500 or 1,000. This is supposed to be for everyone. Rank up advice, and so people can have a good time in Battlegrounds, right? Okay, let's go ahead and move on, and we will get to our tech champions now. All right, tech, Nimrod. I've been telling you, I pulled him early, and I loved that champion. I didn't know he'd be great in Battlegrounds, but I was telling you earlier, I'm like, he's not just for Mutants, folks. He's not just for Mutants. I consider him to be Torchlight for Mutants. Anything with healing that can be removed, that's not like an instant heal, or anything with prowess. But the fact of the matter is, I've been watching people use him to destroy things that have neither. I believe his name is Chris. Really cool channel. We've just recently gotten to know him. I watched him destroy a Cosmic Ghost Rider with his Nimrod. Such impressive gameplay and use of a champion. Really high level stuff. It was awesome to see. And I know DLL has been using his high sig Nimrod too. Warlock back in it, right? So I don't even think it would be smart to remove willpower from your masteries for certain metas. Maybe one will come out, but I just don't even make sense for none of your champions to have it. Warlock can seriously take advantage of that. All of those immunities, damage is adequate. Tech champion with the armor up, handling problematic defenders like Havoc. Warlock, totally deserving. Guardian, again, this is like me. I've taken a bit of a victory lap on this one. One of the first champions I ever did full review on my channel. They're not the best, like it was really early on, but I was like, this guy's top shelf. This is one of the best champions in the game, in my opinion. So cool for me to see him have so many wide uses. One of the complaints with him was always that he was too slow. He's not the fastest, but he's getting the job done. And I'm just so happy to see him up there. And then defensively, he's one of those champions where I'm like, I can use him offensive or defensive. I see him come in, I almost always pick him, even with almost no regard to what my opponent has on their deck so far. Penny, really interesting for me here is that I would have thought she was going to be this defensive monster, but so many people have learned how to fight her that I feel like she still can be there. She can have things take a little bit of time, but you can use her offensively, especially to take out those really annoying Nick Furies. All right, moving on through, we got Omega Sentinel. I have a rank 4. That's awesome. I love it. The negative is I really believe that she's been banned 90% of the time. I don't believe I've ever had to remove her from my deck because she's not used enough for me to have to ever even consider refreshing her. I've used her a couple times in the right mutant matchup. She is phenomenal. She's a little bit slow on the other ones, at least as far as having her in the tier above all. I do think some of that might be my newness with her, though. I think there might be a little bit of user problem. If you have her, please let me know how you've been finding her offensively. I've been very happy with her, but I want to be conservative because I know I have a rank 4 and I know not everyone else does. I don't want to place her higher than she should be. Ultron, placing those plasmas, he handles so many problems, and actually someone used him against me defensively. They really cornered me. They thought it through. His damage back on the energy damage. Really smart play by them. He's got that defensive utility. I really like having him up there. Mysterio, a bit more defensive utility, right? Causing problems with the effects after his specials. He's up there. Sparky, really, I think you're bringing him on for an offensive champion. That's why we've got that offensive leaning icon there. Doing tremendous damage. Legacy was on this very, very early. I'm going to be ranking up my Sparky as soon as I possibly can. But he does have that evade and things like that. And if you mess up, he can cause some problems for you. So I think he's a little bit of a dual threat as far as I'm concerned. Doc Ock, Sentinel, Hulkbuster, Sam Cap. I know there's like some Cap Sam fans out there. I'm not one. To me, he is just way too slow. But I'm open to the idea I'm wrong. I keep looking for proof. Yeah, we'll just kind of leave it at that. Tier above all, as far as pure attackers, we just covered Sparky. This is Spider-Man, Stark Enhanced, and then Ghost, enough said. And then top shelf pure attackers, we've got Nebula and War Machine. Nebula shutting off robots, the massive shock damage. War Machine with his SP1 was really great for, I can't think of which meta off the top of my head, but I know there was a meta he was really, really helpful for. So not really surprising. And then no tech, pure defenders. All right, and then last but definitely not least, we've got the Cosmic tier. Hercules, no shock to anyone. Hyperion, God, I wish I had a Hyperion, but I don't. And then King Groot. I think King Groot, for me, he just has made so many defensive matchups take a very, very long time. And in situations where I know I've got my opponent kind of over a barrel like that, King Groot has really been helpful to me, and I can take my time and just kind of stay alive and whittle them down. It's been pretty nice and helpful. Null, he's just been a little bit slow, incredibly versatile. I also have a rank 4 Null. He hasn't been banned as much as Omega Sentinel, but quite a bit, and he's been extremely helpful to me defensively. There's reverse controls, a little bit of newness. Cersei, same thing. I know Bryce has a rank 4 Cersei, so I think that influences things a little bit. But if you don't have a way to get around that glancing or get rid of that glancing, you're going to have a real problem there with Cersei. Terrax, it was actually suggested he moved a little bit higher. I have a rank 3 Terrax. I think I need to learn to use him a little bit better, but I have my eye on him. And when the next version of this rankings comes out, I would not be surprised to see Terrax move higher because the recommendation came directly from Nerd, one of the guys on this MCoC Illuminati. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about. Medusa, Arcus, Icarus, Surfer, all for a variety of reasons. Surfer's really been almost like a kind of a surprise use for me. Really been having a lot of fun with him. Icarus, I thought it was just because people didn't know how to fight him, but someone used an Icarus against me and did some really nice damage and won a matchup. It was really, really impressive stuff. Tier above all for attackers there. it's got to be CGR. He's incredible. He's like all the things, handling pennies and all kinds of other options. And then with his, it's Damnation, I believe it's called, with his signature ability, that just puts him over the absolute top for me. He's incredible. So happy I have a rank 3. And then top shelf, Odin, he's fantastic. He's been really one of the best options for some metas. Venompool can handle pennies for you, just do tremendous damage, handle the Spider-Verse evaders if you find them. Gamora, I know Toffrey used Gamora a lot, really enjoyed that. Venom and Captain Marvel movie, I think they're worth considering. Again, not someone I would recommend you immediately rank up for Battleground use though. And then Nova and Super Skrull, definitely defensive problem causers, both of them in different ways. And then BMcG actually had a really cool fight with a Super Skrull. He won. He did say he didn't necessarily feel like he got lucky. He's like, but I don't know if I could always get all of these things to align all at once. But it was really, really cool to see. And those are the rankings. Those are the rankings. Like I said, go check out, subscribe, become better at this game, and also say thanks to DLL Nerd and Slamon for all the time they put into this. I love this mode. I love this mode of the game. It's going to cause me to dive so much deeper into so many champions, spend the time on it, but it's because it's fun and we're getting to use them. So many rank ups that even at the count of my size that I want to do so I can be better at this game and in this mode. I absolutely love it. As long as they clean it up, I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward. I don't know if we're going to update this every month. So much will just depend on the mode itself and how that's working out and the nodes and things like that. And then, of course, please give me your feedback on your ideas. This is how the general tier list rankings has grown so much, and I am exceptionally happy with it. I'd love to see this rankings continue on. I know it's not perfect right now, but it's going to be your advice, your requests coming to me, and me being like, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Here's how we get this information out. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying Battlegrounds too. Take care.
I hope you either learned something, were entertained, or even better, a little bit of both. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.